My name is Courtney Bentley. I'm the CEO of Vizibiliti in South Africa, and it is my absolute pleasure to be with you here today to present our alternative credit scoring solution, which is going to support entrepreneurs, create jobs, and ultimately create a financially inclusive economy. So I'm going to start with my own story. I was 17, I just matriculated. I didn't have money to go to university. I was actually homeless at the time. And of course, 18 months down the line in a small retail job, I was retrenched. And I was kind of forced to start my own business, which I always wanted to do, but now I was forced to. But a business that desperately needed credit. Now, what the system and the credit system did to me is it boxed me in, it marginalized me, and it essentially made my potential invisible. And this is a very serious problem. We have tens of millions of people coming into the economy who are going to require financial services for critical products and services, and the current credit scoring system doesn't cater for them. So what it does is it bans somebody as a high risk, and nobody's going to lend to somebody who's a high risk. So this leads to a data quality problem and a lack of high quality data in terms of credit models that don't have alternative metrics being put into them are never going to be able to support entrepreneurs who require the funding and services that they need. But we've got the solution, and we can combine a traditional scorecard with an alternative credit scoring system that allows us to create an efficient marketplace where we link suppliers, borrowers, and lenders together. And then we are able to prioritize applications who've got a high likelihood of venture success with a low likelihood of default. And we can further personalize products and services directly to an individual that have been proven to support that entrepreneur in their journey. So how do we do it? We link together multiple data sources. We then are able to predict a borrower's preferences and their default likelihood. And then we automate recommendations directly to lenders and to borrowers to increase their decision-making skills. Our business model, Mercedes-Benz is one of our customers. We recently won Verizon's alternative credit scoring solution in Paris. Our customer profile, we're looking at thin credit customer profiles, so those people who don't have a lot of credit history on them, as well as lenders who are interested to increase their market share to this non-traditional audience, but simply do not have the access to do so. We have an API web service-driven model, so we get paid per call, and that can run into tens of thousands or millions. We have a white-labeled app that we're busy developing that we're going to be releasing into the market for lenders to access, as well as a batch scoring process system which allows us to score existing customers that the lender has. So results that we've achieved so far, we've successfully predicted 10 million rands worth of a bad debt with an 89% accuracy of doing so. There are four things I'd like to end off with. With our alternative credit scoring solution, we will be able to create more businesses, better jobs, skills transfer, and increase our economic growth. I've been there. I've been in front of a credit system that doesn't support entrepreneurs. And if we, with you, can get to that point where we can support these individuals, I'm doing my job. That would be amazing. Thank you.
Can you quickly break down the social impact? Because I see more of a commercial and impact, yeah.
So from a social side of things, there are critical services that everybody needs. So if I think about a cell phone account, a bank loan, if I need to start a business, if I need to buy a house, if I need to get a car, these are all things that are super important in us actually driving the next wave of economic growth. And if we're not able to assess individuals who would be good credit, if I can put it that way, if we're not able to understand them on a different level other than an archaic system that we've always had, we're not progressing. And there are hundreds of millions of people in the next 10 to 15 years that are coming online that don't have these old school credit records.
You haven't told us much about how you do that credit scoring. Is it using kind of online information?
So it's a blended approach. So when we talk about a blended scorecard, there's economic data that fits into there about the person's business. There's free text data there that we analyze that the individual inputs themselves. There's social media data that we look at as well. We have transactional data that we get from the credit bureau. We look at the credit scores as well. So there are multiple data streams that we look at to actually get these scores and then weight them accordingly.
Can you score someone that's not actively online?
Yes, we can. So if we get, let me take a free text example. So if we have some free text from you, we can analyze that individual, and we're able to then start predicting whether they're likely to pay debt back.
This is a major problem. I mean, this is a field that I'm in, and traditional scoring is keeping a whole bunch of people out of the opportunity. But there's a lot of these types of opportunity, or the types of products in the world. So have you had a look at your competitors? Are you using any kind of psychometric evaluation in terms of probability? And then the other thing I want to ask is, just explain a little bit about your model. Are you you say you're selling per transaction, but what's the uptake and what are you doing there?
Okay. So I think just to answer the first question around the psychometric side of things, where there's a key differentiator is we're able to understand the risk element of it. So blending those two scorecards together, we do that using the Big Five. So I'm sure you're familiar with that. And part of that is also understanding what somebody's shopping preferences are going to be, which we can actually predict. So whether they're agreeable, if they're disagreeable, if they're likely to prefer spending on credits, etc. In terms of competitors, there are quite a few in the market that are doing this. I think from our side, the biggest thing is how quickly can we get there with the right partners at the right time. We are Africans. We're in Africa. We should understand our market. And I believe that that is an enormous competitive advantage for us, especially with MTN telemetry providers. With all of the information that we've got, we must be able to do something with it.
Between retail lending and business lending, where do you see this getting a lot more traction?
I think from a retail perspective, it's always the easiest one. If I think about a cellular provider, if we can improve your contract lift by even 1%, if you've got 100,000 contracts a month, that's a lot. And I think that will provide the traction that is necessary for us to then go from a business perspective to say, we've got this individual that would never have been scored before. They've had a cell phone contract for 6 months. This is their payment profile, their behavior, and then being able to almost recommend. And that is why I said we would recommend particular products and services to that individual based on, if I can call it, a previous new profile that we create.
Quickly, can you give us the team behind the whole setup?
Sure. There's 6 of us. That's it. I'll take it offline. There's 6 of us.